Hey YouTube, it's Bobby with KCA Ranch and Homestead. We're going to do a little cooking video today. We're going to make some venison, carne guisada, G-U-I-S-A-D-A. Not carne asada, which is like a fajita steak on the grill, but carne guisada, which is a Mexican stew. And we're going to be using deer meat today. Deer season, archery season starts this Saturday in a few days, and I've still got some deer left over from last year that I'm trying to use. So we're going to use 2 pounds. We're going to double the basic recipe. So everything you see today is going to be a double recipe. Instead of 1 pound of meat, I'm using 2 pounds of meat, and all the ingredients I'm sharing are actually doubled. So if you want to make a smaller batch, we like leftovers, and we like sending some home vacuum sealed with our daughter that's in college. So we like to double everything. And as you can see, I'm all about the doubling. Anyway, stick around, and I'll try to put all the ingredients and notes in the description so you can copy and paste it, print it, or refer to it when you make your own. Venison, carne guisada. Thank you. Okay, here's some of the ingredients, or actually all the ingredients we're going to be using. The only thing I'm missing today is fresh garlic. Unfortunately, I don't have any jarred minced garlic or anything except for garlic powder. But when you see me use this, keep in mind to use about 4 cloves of crushed garlic, fresh garlic, or 2 cloves for the single recipe. Since I'm doubling everything, I would have used 4. But you need a little cornstarch, which is going to go in at the end to thicken up the stew. You need oil for browning the meat. We use avocado oil for just about everything. You're going to need 21 ounces or so of beef broth. I'm just going to go ahead and use this whole container, probably 32 ounces, but the original recipe calls for like 10 ounces of beef broth. Double that to 20. I need a couple tablespoons of tomato paste. You can look up your own seasoning, but the Fiesta Carne Guisada seasoning is just so good. It's got everything you need in it for a basic carne guisada. I'm gonna also be adding some chili powder, some cumin. I mentioned the garlic already, some black pepper. Potatoes are optional. I think it makes it more of a stew instead of a soup, with some really small diced up potatoes. And then you can choose your own heat. I'm going to use some, I believe these are serranos. I'll add 2 or 3 to taste and just see. I always could add something else like that. These little baby pumpkins are so sweet. Habaneros are really good. Unfortunately, my family does not agree with me. But anyway, that's really about it. For the ingredient list, I'll have more details in the description. As far as the meat, I've got 2 pounds of venison backstrap. These are off of a local deer that I got here in Centerville. And what I'm gonna do is just cube it up kind of small. Let me see. All right, so what I do basically is just take a piece of backstrap steak. The grain's running this way, so I'll cut it across the grain, and then I'll turn it and make my cubes. I call it a 1/2 inch cube, maybe 3/4 inch. Some of these are thicker than others. If they're a little thicker, you can adjust the size so that they cook evenly, make them a little smaller cubes. But that's all you do. I mean, hopefully you've already cut your backstrap up into these little medallions or steaks. That's how I do it anyway when I package it. And then I'm gonna cube all this up, and then we're gonna move over to the stove. All right, we've got all the venison backstrap cubed up. Just gonna take some oil and put in about 2 or 3 tablespoons. Just enough so we can coat the meat and let it brown. And I'm gonna let that get hot. After the meat is browned nicely, I am going to drain off the excess liquid. Not a whole lot of grease since this is venison instead of beef. But I'll be right back and then we'll start forming the stew, adding the ingredients, getting it ready to simmer for several hours. All right, first we're going to add 4 tablespoons of tomato paste. And just a note, this is optional. I like it. The wife likes it. Once again, I'm doubling everything because I'm using 2 pounds of meat instead of 1. I'm just kind of guesstimating here. I just think it really adds to the flavor and consistency with this. Should be good. We're going to be stirring this a lot. I'm just trying to get it in there a little bit. After it gets a little more liquefied, you can do more stirring. All right. This is a 32-ounce container of beef broth. The recipe calls for 10.1 or so ounces. I'm going to double that to about 21 ounces or 22 ounces. And I'm just guesstimating because I'm not going to measure it. It's not going to hurt to have a little more or less. And a lot of this will boil away or steam away whenever you're simmering for several hours. Yeah, we'll call that good. All right, we're going to start adding some ingredients here. I forgot to say salt originally, but everything needs salt. I'm just going to put an initial couple teaspoons, and then I can always tune it up later. All right, let's do some garlic. Once again, you need fresh garlic, most likely would be better, but I don't have any minced garlic or fresh garlic. The wife's at the grocery store right now, but it's going to be a little too late. So I'm just going to put a little dose of garlic in there. And then once again, don't go overboard because you can always add, but you can't take away. I'll just do 2 teaspoons of chili powder. Nothing fancy, just cheap chili powder. This is an important part. If you don't have chili powder, stop what you're doing and go buy some. And cumin. We're going to do 1 teaspoon of ground cumin. Once again, cut these in half if you're making a pound of meat. I hate to keep harping on that, but I don't want somebody to ruin their recipe by over seasoning 1 pound of meat. So on my jalapeno peppers, I just cut the caps off of them, the stems, and then sliced them long ways in half. That way we can pick them out later if we want, or if you want to eat a whole one in there, you can. And what I'm going to do after I get this started is get my Carne Guisada seasoning ready. I'm going to need, I think, 4 tablespoons of that, and peel my potatoes and dice them up small, about the same size as the meat, maybe 1/2 inch. But I'm going to get this simmering real quick while I do that. And we'll be back. Okay guys, I forgot that this Carne Guisada seasoning has what you need as far as the cornstarch and the thickening agent. And it also has some seasoning, basic seasonings in it too. But I like a lot of seasoning. You could get by with just using this without the cumin, chili powder, garlic, etc. But I'm making a big batch. We're gonna put about 5 of these in there. Yeah, so disregard what I said about the cornstarch if you have this. If you don't have this, then use the exact ingredients that I mentioned at the first of the video. Sorry for the confusion, I totally forgot about that. I'm getting 2 different recipes mixed up in my mind. And if you taste it, when it's getting closer to done and it tastes kind of bland, you can either add a little more of this or you can add some more of the chili powder, cumin, garlic, etc. So we're gonna get this all stirred in there. This is just so good. If you have an HEB near you, if you are blessed enough to live in the great state of Texas or anywhere that has the fresh tortillas, not the one, I'm talking about the fresh ones that are refrigerated, that you have to cook yourself, or they're freshly cooked that day. My wife is picking up some right now at HEB that are freshly cooked this morning, I'm sure. And then you just heat them up a little bit on the skillet. So good. But you don't have to have tortillas, you can just eat it out of a bowl, because that's what it is. It's a stew. So I got that stirred in. Now what I'm going to do is get my potatoes ready. I'm going to add a cup of water. Once again, half a cup if you're doing 1 pound of meat, and then a whole cup of water, because this stuff's going to thicken up a lot with that Carne Guisada mix or the cornstarch that we would have added on the other recipe at the end. So we'll be right back. Okay, so I'm going to add my cup of water now. This stuff's already getting pretty thick. I may need to add more water later. Just play it by ear as it simmers on low. Just check it, give it a stir every 30 minutes or so. Make sure it's not sticking, but if you have it low, it should be fine. Unless you're using a Kmart, Walmart, dollar store skillet. Luckily, I'm at a stage in life where I've upgraded to Costco cookware. Try not to look down my nose at the little people as I cook. So what I've decided to do, I have my potatoes cubed up into, you know, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, whatever cubes. And if you've never cubed potatoes, just cut them in half long ways and then cut those 2 halves in half. So now you have 4 quarters, line them up, and then chop them into cubes, and you'll have your cubes. Not that complicated, but I know some people are just getting started in cooking. I'm gonna wait. If you put these in now and it takes 5 to 8 hours to get perfectly tender, these potatoes are just gonna be, they're gonna fall apart, which tastes great and I like it that way, but I'm gonna wait an hour or 2 before I put these in. So anyway, that's really about it. You just wanna maintain it, or I'm sorry, monitor it. Stir it every hour. Give it a taste test after a little while and see if you need salt, pepper, additional water, and then that's about it. Serve it on warm tortillas. I'll be back in a few hours to put these potatoes in and to check on it and show you what it looks like, and we'll check the tenderness of the meat. Venison's a little different than regular beef. It can take longer to get tender. It doesn't really have any fat in it at all. All my meat is trimmed to 0 fat, 0 tendons or muscles or anything. It's just perfect venison. You won't find anything on mine. Backstrap. But anyway, it can affect how long it takes to cook. It depends on the deer as well. I mean, as any of you hunters know, an old 5-6-year-old buck deer versus a 2-year-old doe can be a world of difference in the tenderness. But make sure you don't start this an hour before dinner or you're going to be disappointed. Start it at lunchtime for dinner, or even 10, 11 a.m. for dinner, so it'll be good. You can also serve it up with some Spanish rice on the side, but we like it just like this. We'll be back. All right, let's check on things. It's been a few hours. Not really thickening it up as much as I thought it would, probably because I kept the lid on so tight. But meat feels a lot tender, more tender. But still several hours away. Let's put the potatoes in. Soak up some of that juice. Broth tastes great. Just need it to thicken up a little bit. When the meat gets completely tender and the potatoes are done, if it's still not thick, then I'll add some cornstarch to it just to thicken it up a little bit. I did have to add a little more water. It was a little too salty. I think probably because the Carne Guisada seasoning has salt, and I didn't think about that at first because I was adding all those seasonings. So I added an extra 1.5 cups of water just to cut down the salt, and these potatoes will help. They'll absorb some of the salt as well. So that may be why it's not thickening up, but we'll get it right before we serve it later on. Also made some Spanish rice while I was waiting. My son Jake gave me a good recipe. Pretty simple recipe. Might do a video on that later, but it's just a basic brown the rice, add some the caldo tomate, the little Spanish chicken bouillon stuff, and 2 cups of water, bell pepper and onion cut up into big chunks. Simmer it for 20 minutes, as low as it will go, and then take it off the heat and let it sit until you're ready to cook. Don't open the lid once you start simmering. We'll be back to check on things before we serve. Well, it's been about 5 hours or so since I started this project, but man, this is thickened up nicely. I ended up adding 2 teaspoons of cornstarch to some cold water, and then you whisk it in real good so it doesn't get lumpy. And the meat's pretty tender. The potatoes aren't quite done yet. Wife will be home in about an hour. My daughter's visiting from college the next 2 days, so she's looking forward to this as well. I just wish my grown-ass boys were here to help me eat all this. I got a good Spanish rice recipe from my son Jake. He told me, do not open the lid or I'll whip your ass. So I'm not opening the lid until it's time to eat. But man, I sure am tempted to. Anyway, yeah, that looks real good. Got some jalapeños floating in there. Hard-earned deer meat that we process ourselves from field to table. Field to freezer. Smells great. As you notice, I changed gears 2 or 3 times during the recipe. I'm not a professional cook. I just kind of wing it, and it usually turns out pretty darn good. So if you don't want to get too confused on all my changes, just pick you up some Fiesta Carne Guisada seasoning, and they've got a recipe on the back for 2 pounds of meat, 2 tablespoons of oil, 5 tablespoons of this seasoning, and that's it, and some water. And that's it. I mean, it's pretty simple, but I like to spice things up and experiment a little bit, so I added some other seasonings. But if you just want to make a quick down and dirty carne guisada, just get you this and follow the recipe. Thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. I appreciate y'all watching. Well, here's the final product. We got our carne guisada with venison meat. Got some real nice fresh tortillas for dipping. Got some Spanish rice. Came out good. And that's it. If y'all end up making this recipe, leave a comment. Thanks.